All right, everybody. Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going deep into the world of WordPress security.
Yeah, we're going to figure out how to keep your site safe.
From hackers and malware attacks,
Yeah.
and even what to do if...
Heaven forbid something happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty crazy how many WordPress sites get hacked every day, right?
It is. It's a staggering number. WordFence, they're a leading security firm.
Right.
They report that over 13,000 WordPress sites are hacked.
Every single day.
Daily, yeah.
13,000. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like a small town getting wiped out digitally every day.
Yeah.
So we really got to make sure that we're taking this stuff seriously.
Definitely.
So what's like the most common way that people get hacked?
The most common way, I would say it's definitely through outdated plugins.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, WordFence says that over half of the hacks
That makes sense.
stem from a vulnerability in a plugin that hasn't been updated.
So it's almost like leaving the side door unlocked.
Exactly. You have these plugins that add all these features and, cool things to your site. But if they're not kept up to date, they become easy targets for hackers using bots to just scan for these vulnerabilities.
Right. They're just looking for that open door.
Yeah.
So regular updates are like really, really important.
Oh, absolutely.
I know for me, I will admit, sometimes I get a little bit behind on my updates.
Oh, yeah?
And then I get that little notification in my WordPress dashboard like, hey, you got like 10 things to update.
Yeah, I get that too.
And so plugins, themes, WordPress core, all of that needs to be updated regularly.
It does. It's like giving your site a regular checkup,
Oh, a little tune-up.
One thing that I've found helpful too is doing all the updates at once.
Oh, interesting.
Sometimes you might update one thing and then it will conflict with something else.
Oh, okay.
If you update everything at once, then that helps to prevent any of those conflicts that might arise.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So that leads to another thing that's really important, I think, is backing up your site.
Oh, backups.
Yes. So important. So before you do any major updates, or even on a regular basis, just backing up your site.
You got it.
Because if something goes wrong...
If something goes wrong, that backup is a lifesaver.
You just revert
right back.
to previous version and you're good to go.
Exactly. I think of it as like an insurance policy,
Yeah.
You hope you never have to use it.
Right.
But if you do, you're really glad you have it.
And there are so many great plugins out there
There.
that can help you with this, like Updraft Plus or WP Vivid, that make backing up your site super easy.
Super easy, yeah. And they often have options to like store your backups off-site.
Oh, yeah, in the cloud.
In the cloud, yeah.
Which is really helpful.
Yeah, it just gives you that extra layer of protection and it frees up space on your server.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to usernames now.
Okay, usernames.
This is something that I see people doing all the time that makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, what's that?
Using the default admin username.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a big no-no.
It's like leaving a big sign that says, hack me.
Hackers love it when people use that default admin username.
Because it's just one less thing they got to guess.
Exactly.
So luckily, changing your username is a pretty simple process.
It is. There are plugins like Easy Username Updater that can do it in a flash.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. And while you're at it, make sure that your new username is something strong and unique.
Not like your dog's name or something.
Right. Or your birthday or something that's easily guessable.
Exactly. So strong usernames, that's really important. And then that leads us to passwords.
Passwords.
Yes. Which I feel like we could do a whole episode on passwords.
Oh, yeah. We could talk about passwords all day.
But I think the main thing here is that passwords are your first line of defense.
They are.
And so they need to be strong.
Absolutely.
And what makes a strong password these days is different than what it used to be.
It is. Forget about those old rules of just using a mix of uppercase, lowercase, and a few special characters.
All right, just throw in an exclamation point at the end.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Hackers have tools now that can crack those relatively easily.
Oh, wow.
We need to think bigger, longer, and more random.
So like a string of completely unrelated words.
Exactly, or a phrase that's easy for you to remember but impossible for anyone else to guess.
Okay.
And another important tip is don't reuse passwords across multiple sites.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
If one gets compromised, they all become vulnerable.
They're like dominoes.
And this is where password managers can be a lifesaver.
I love password managers.
You're crazy.
They generate and store those complex passwords for you so you don't have to remember them all.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got strong usernames, we've got strong passwords.
Check and check.
Now let's talk about two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication or 2FA?
Yes, this is like adding an extra lock to your front door.
I love that analogy. It's so true.
So 2FA, it requires you to enter a unique code
Right.
from your phone or your email. in addition to your password when you log in.
Right.
It's like making it much, much harder for hackers to gain access.
So even if they do somehow get your password,
Yeah.
they still can't get in without that second factor.
Right. They hit that wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got strong passwords, we've got 2FA in place.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about firewalls now.
Firewalls.
They sound kind of intimidating.
They do sound a little bit scary.
Could you break down like what they are and why they're so important for WordPress security?
Yeah, definitely. So think of a firewall as a gatekeeper for your site.
Okay.
It analyzes incoming traffic and filters out anything that looks suspicious.
Like a digital bouncer.
Yeah, like a bouncer, exactly. Keeping the riffraff out.
So what kinds of things would it be looking for?
So it would be looking for things like known malicious IP addresses or requests that match patterns associated with attacks.
Gotcha. So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all.
No, it's very specific.
It's actually analyzing the traffic and saying, wait a minute, this looks a little fishy.
Exactly.
So there are different types of firewalls, right?
Yeah, there are.
What are some of the most common ones for WordPress?
So for WordPress, the most common are plugin-based firewalls and web application firewalls.
And those are different.
They are different.
Okay.
So plugin-based firewalls, they run on your server.
Okay.
And they offer a good level of protection against common threats.
Gotcha. So it's like having a security guard stationed right at your server's door.
Exactly.
I like that.
Now, web application firewalls, or WAFs,
Okay.
those take it a step further. They live on the cloud, acting as a shield between your site and the internet at large.
So it's further out.
Further out, yeah.
Interesting.
So they can analyze traffic before it even reaches your server, blocking threats more effectively.
So it's like having that security checkpoint at the edge of your property.
Exactly.
Preventing the troublemakers from even getting close to your house.
Love it. Love that analogy.
So what are some examples of WAFs?
So a big one is Cloudflare.
Okay, I've heard of Cloudflare.
Yeah, and they even have a free plan. Oh, wow.
That offers a good level of protection.
That's awesome.
And WS can also do things like block traffic from specific countries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that are known for high levels of hacking activity.
That makes sense.
Or challenge suspicious visitors with CAPI-TCAs.
Oh, CAP-TCHs, I hate those.
Yeah, but they can be effective.
They are effective.
Yeah.
I guess they do serve a purpose.
They do. They do.
Okay, so firewalls.
Very important.
Both plugin-based and web application firewalls, really important for protecting your site.
Definitely.
So we've talked a lot about preventative measures.
Right.
But let's face it, even with the best security in place, hacks can still happen.
Unfortunately, yes.
So what do you do if you wake up one morning and you find your site defaced?
Yeah.
Links redirecting to shady places, or even worse, malware that's stealing customer data.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah. What do you do in that situation?
Well, first of all, don't panic.
Okay. Easier said than done.
I know. But the first and most crucial step is to disconnect your site from the internet.
Oh, this stops the bleeding, so to speak.
Yeah, like hitting the kill switch.
Right. Preventing further damage and limiting the hacker's access.
Containment.
Containment, exactly.
So once you've done that, what's next?
So next, you need to assess the damage.
Okay.
What's been affected? Have files been changed, deleted, or injected with malicious code?
Right.
Is your database compromised? This stage is like a digital forensics investigation.
We're putting on our detective hats.
Yeah, we're looking for clues.
All right, so we've assessed the damage. Now, what are our options for getting the site back up and running?
Well, if you have those backups that we talked about earlier.
Yes, the backups.
Restoring from a clean backup is often the fastest route to recovery.
Okay.
But before you do, it's crucial to ensure that the backup itself isn't infected.
Oh, that's a good point. You don't want to restore your site.
Exactly.
Only to reintroduce the malware.
You don't want to do that.
So what if restoring from a backup isn't an option? Or if the backup is also compromised?
Yeah, then you might need to call in the professionals. There are services that specialize in removing malware from WordPress sites.
Gotcha. So it's like calling in the digital hazmat team.
Exactly.
They come in, they clean up the mess, they make sure everything is safe.
They're the experts.
So cleaning up is just one part of it, right?
Right.
What about preventing future attacks?
Yes. That's crucial.
Because you don't want this to happen again.
You don't want to go through this again.
No.
So once your site is clean, it's vital to figure out how the hack happened in the first place.
Like, how do they get in?
Yeah. Was it an outdated plugin, a weak password, or something else entirely?
Right.
And this investigation can help you patch the vulnerability and strengthen your security moving forward.
Okay, so it's like solving a mystery and then using the clues to fortify your defenses.
Exactly.
I like that.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from preventing hacks to recovering from them.
Yes.
But before we wrap up, I want to explain one more thing.
Okay.
You mentioned the term brute force attack earlier, and I just want to explain exactly what that is.
Yeah, break that down for us.
So a brute force attack is basically like a digital battering ram.
Okay.
Hackers use software to systematically try different password combinations.
Oh, wow.
Until they find one that works.
So it's just trial and error?
It is trial and error, but with enough time and computing power,
Oh, no.
it can be surprisingly effective.
So it's like trying every key on a giant key ring until you find the one that unlocks the door.
Yeah.
I see. So that's why those strong, complex passwords we talked about are so crucial.
Absolutely.
Because if they're just trying every combination, it's going to take them a lot longer to crack a 16-character password
much longer
than like a 6-character password.
Exactly.
Okay, so brute force attacks, definitely something we want to protect against.
Yes.
What are some ways to do that?
Well, aside from strong passwords, limiting login attempts can be a major deterrent.
Okay.
Many security plugins allow you to set a cap on how many times someone can try to log in.
Oh, like you get 3 tries and you're out.
Yeah, exactly, before their IP address is blocked.
Gotcha.
It's like having a security system that locks out anyone who enters the wrong code too many times.
I like that analogy.
So limiting login attempts, strong passwords, and of course two-factor authentication can all help prevent those brute force attacks.
So it sounds like there are a lot of moving parts to WordPress security.
There are.
It can feel a little overwhelming.
It can, but don't let that overwhelm you.
Right.
By focusing on the fundamentals, you can create a robust security posture for your site.
Okay, great advice. And remember, we'll be diving deeper into these concepts in the next part of our deep dive.
We will.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Right back. So, we spent a lot of time talking about securing your WordPress site from the outside.
Yeah, keeping those hackers out.
Right. But now I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and talk about internal security.
Internal security. Okay. I'm intrigued. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm talking about things like user roles and permissions.
Oh.
It's like, in an organization, you wouldn't want to give everyone a master key.
Right. You got to make sure people only have access to what they actually need.
Exactly. So in WordPress, there's a built-in system with roles.
Right.
Like administrator, editor, author, contributor, and subscriber.
Okay, I've seen those before.
And each role comes with specific capabilities.
So an administrator is like the big cheese, right? They have
the CEO of the website.
Full control.
Full control, yeah.
They can install plugins, change themes, manage users, all that good stuff.
The whole 9 yards.
And then an editor.
An editor focuses more on content.
Okay.
Managing posts and pages.
Gotcha.
Authors can create and edit their own posts.
Right.
Contributors can write posts, but they need an editor to publish them.
Okay.
And subscribers are mainly there to just consume content.
Right. They're just reading the blog posts and stuff.
Exactly.
So it sounds like it's really important to assign those roles strategically.
It is.
To minimize risk.
Yeah. You want to think about the principle of least privilege.
Least privilege.
Only give users the permissions that they absolutely need.
Okay, that makes sense.
To fulfill their role.
So if somebody just needs to upload images, don't give them author privileges.
Exactly.
Keep it simple.
Keep it locked down.
So what are some best practices for managing these user roles effectively?
Well, I would say one of the most important things is to regularly review your user list.
Okay.
Remove any accounts that are no longer active.
That makes sense.
Especially after, staff changes or when contractors finish a project.
Right.
It's like changing the locks after someone moves out.
You don't want them to have a key anymore.
Exactly.
What else? Any other tips?
Yeah, definitely enforce strong passwords for all users.
Not just the admin.
Not just the admin. Everyone.
Right,
because any compromised account, regardless of its role, could be used as a stepping stone for hackers.
Oh, interesting.
To gain higher level access.
So it's like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Exactly.
And I guess also two-factor authentication for all users would be a good idea too.
Definitely. I mean, you can never be too safe.
Right.
That extra layer of protection is always worth it.
Okay, so user roles, strong passwords, and 2FA. Those are all really important for internal security.
Absolutely.
Now let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about prevention. But what about those moments when things go wrong?
Yeah.
Despite our best efforts.
Right.
How can we prepare for that worst case scenario like we get hacked?
Well, recovering from a hack can be really daunting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But having a plan in place can make all the difference.
So it's like having an emergency preparedness kit.
Exactly.
For your website.
For your website, yeah.
So what's step one?
Step one is disconnect your site from the internet.
Oh.
As soon as you realize there's a problem, pull the plug.
Containment.
Containment, prevent further damage, and contain that breach.
Okay, so like hitting the emergency shut-off button.
Exactly.
What happens next?
So next you need to assess the damage.
Okay.
Figure out what's been affected.
Okay.
Have files been modified? Has the database been compromised?
Right.
And this is where having those regular backups,
the backups come in handy.
it becomes so crucial.
Oh.
Restoring from a clean backup can often get your site back up and running really quickly.
So it's like rewinding to a time before the hack even happened.
Exactly.
What if backups aren't an option, though?
Yeah.
Or what if the malware is lurking in the backup itself?
That can happen.
What then?
Well, in those cases, you might need to call in some professional malware removal services.
Okay.
They specialize in identifying and eradicating malware,
Gotcha.
patching vulnerabilities, and hardening your site's security.
So they're like the digital hazmat team.
Exactly. They
Okay.
come in and clean up the mess.
Okay, so there's a safety net,
There is.
even in the worst case scenario.
There is.
But beyond just cleaning up the mess, is there anything else we can do to learn from a hack
Oh, absolutely.
and prevent future ones?
Every hack is a learning opportunity.
Interesting.
So once you've recovered, it's crucial to investigate how the hack happened.
Okay.
Was it an outdated plugin, a weak password, or a vulnerability in your theme?
Right.
Understanding the cause allows you to address the root of the problem
Okay.
and implement stronger security measures to prevent similar attacks in the future.
So it's like solving a mystery
Yeah,
and then using those clues to fortify your defenses.
exactly.
I like that. So I think it's safe to say that navigating the world of WordPress security can feel kind of overwhelming,
It can be.
especially for those who aren't super tech savvy.
Right.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out?
Well, I would say start with the basics.
Okay.
Choose a reputable hosting provider that prioritizes security,
Right.
install a reliable security plugin,
Mm-hmm.
and familiarize yourself with its features.
Okay.
Keep everything updated. WordPress core, themes, and especially plugins.
The plugins.
And never underestimate the power of strong passwords and two-factor authentication.
Okay, so focus on those foundational elements.
Exactly.
What about for those of us who want to take our security knowledge to the next level?
Yeah.
What resources would you recommend?
Oh, there are some fantastic resources out there.
Okay.
Websites like WordFence and Supuri offer in-depth articles, tutorials, and even free tools to help you analyze and improve your site's security.
Those are great suggestions.
And of course, there are always security experts who can provide personalized guidance and support.
Okay, so if you really want to get serious about it,
Yeah,
you can always hire an expert.
absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about the present state of WordPress security, but what about the future?
Ooh, the future.
Where do you see things heading in the next few years?
That's a great question. You know, one trend that I'm really excited about is the move towards passwordless authentication.
Passwordless. Wow.
Yeah.
So instead of typing in a password,
Right.
you might use your fingerprint or a physical key to log in,
Exactly.
like biometric.
Biometrics, yeah. Wow, and hardware tokens are starting to gain traction.
That's really interesting.
These methods are much more secure than traditional passwords.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they're also more user-friendly.
Right, because who can remember all these crazy passwords?
Exactly.
So you think we'll see passwordless authentication become like the norm in the next few years?
I do. I think it has a lot of potential.
That's exciting. It's amazing how technology is evolving
It is.
to make our online lives safer and more secure.
Definitely. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to circle back to a topic we touched on earlier.
All right.
Zero-day exploits.
Yes, those scary sounding things.
Yeah. Can you remind us what they are and why they're such a concern?
Yeah, definitely.
So zero-day exploits are vulnerabilities that are discovered and exploited by hackers
Okay.
before the software developers even know about them.
So it's like a secret back door
Exactly.
they can slip through before the alarm even goes off.
Exactly. And because there's no patch available yet,
Right.
they can be incredibly dangerous.
Oh, wow.
They really highlight the importance of staying vigilant and implementing multiple layers of security.
Right.
Because even if one layer is compromised,
Yeah.
the others can still protect you.
It's like having a security system with redundancies built in.
Precisely.
Even if one part fails, the others are still there to keep you safe.
Exactly. And with that in mind, let's move on to our final part where we'll explore some even more advanced security tips and strategies.
Ooh, we can't wait.
To help you stay ahead of the curve and keep your WordPress site safe.
Awesome. Let's do it. Okay, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive. Right?
Yeah, we've gone from the basics to some pretty advanced stuff.
Strong passwords, zero-day exploits, all that good stuff. But before we wrap up, I kind of want to explore some of those advanced security tips and strategies a little bit further.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, for those who really want to take their WordPress security to like the next level.
All right, so you want the secret sauce.
Yeah, give me the secret sauce. What are some things that maybe people aren't thinking about?
Okay, well, one area that I think is often overlooked is database security.
Database security.
Yeah, your WordPress database, it houses all your website's content,
right?
User data, settings, everything.
It's like the heart of your site.
It is. It is. And if it's compromised, the consequences can be pretty severe.
So how do we protect that database? Make sure it's nice and secure.
Well, first of all, you want to change the default database prefix.
Database prefix.
Yeah, so WordPress uses WP as the default prefix for database tables.
Okay.
Which is common knowledge among hackers.
Right, so they know to look for that.
Exactly. So if you change it to something unique, it makes it much harder for them to target your database.
It's like giving your database a secret code name.
Exactly. I like that. What else? Regularly optimize and clean your database.
Okay, so like getting rid of all the junk.
Yeah, get rid of the junk.
Make it run faster.
Improve performance, and it also removes unnecessary data that could be exploited.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you said something about database encryption.
Yes, database encryption. This is a great way to add an extra layer of security.
Okay.
Basically, it makes it much harder for hackers to read your data.
Even if they get in?
Even if they get in.
Wow. So database security is a whole other can of worms.
It is a whole other world.
What about other advanced measures for those of us who are like, give me more, give me more?
All right. So you want to go deep down the rabbit hole?
Yeah, let's go down the rabbit hole.
One thing you can do is disable file editing from the WordPress dashboard.
Okay. I think I've seen that setting before.
Yeah, so by default.
It's kind of buried in there.
It is. It's kind of hidden. But by default, WordPress allows administrators to edit theme and plugin files.
Right from the dashboard.
Right from the dashboard, which is convenient, but...
It is convenient.
Maybe not the safest.
But it can be risky.
Right.
If your admin account is compromised.
Yeah, because then they have access to everything.
Exactly.
So if you disable that, then any file modifications have to be done via FTP or SSH.
Right, which adds that extra layer of security.
Okay, that's a good tip. Yeah. Especially for sites that have multiple users, I would imagine.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, another advanced technique is to implement security headers.
Security headers. Okay, I'm not familiar with those.
So these are little snippets of code that you add to your site's .htaccess file.
Right.
And they basically instruct browsers on how to handle your site's content.
Okay.
And they improve security in various ways.
So it's like little instructions for the browsers to follow?
Exactly.
To make sure that everything's running smoothly and securely?
Precisely.
What are some examples of these headers?
Well, one common one is HTTP Strict Transport Security.
Okay.
Or HSTS.
HSTS.
And that forces browsers to only communicate with your site over HTTPS.
Okay, so that's the secure connection.
Right, preventing man-in-the-middle attacks. Gotcha. So that's really important.
Very important. Another one is X-frame options.
X-frame options.
Yeah, and that protects against clickjacking.
Clickjacking?
Yeah, it's where your site can be embedded in other web pages.
Oh, okay.
Without your permission.
And that can be used for malicious purposes.
Exactly.
So this header prevents that.
It does. It does.
Are there any like tools or plugins that can help us implement these headers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Some security plugins, like WordFence, have built-in features for adding security headers.
Okay, easy peasy.
Yeah, and there are also free online tools that can generate the code for you.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a lot we can do.
There is.
To really enhance our WordPress security.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with just a little bit of tweaking.
It's like fine-tuning the engine.
Exactly.
To make it run even better.
But remember, security is a journey.
Right. It's not a one-and-done thing.
It's not a destination. It's a journey. The threat landscape is constantly evolving.
Yeah, new threats popping up all the time. So we got to stay ahead of the curve.
We do. We do.
So we've covered a lot.
We have.
In this deep dive. And I'm feeling a lot more confident about securing my WordPress site.
That's great to hear.
Any final words of wisdom?
Yeah, you know, security doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Right.
By taking a proactive approach, staying informed, implementing the strategies we've discussed.
Right.
you can create a really robust security shield for your WordPress site.
Okay.
And remember, knowledge is power.
Love it.
The more you learn about security, the better equipped you'll be to protect your digital assets.
That's a great point. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into WordPress security.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and empowering. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay secure.
And keep those sites safe.